Welcome back, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed your Frog Prince continued story and you were able to annotate for some components of PAPE or the rhetorical situation. So we're going to move on into our PAPE analysis chart for our Frog Prince practice. We're just going to focus on persona and audience for today. You don't need to fill out the entire chart. But this is exactly what the chart looked like in the example I gave you from yesterday. So I want us to answer these three questions, right? So what are the facets of the speaker's personality that are evident in the text? So this would be from the princess or the prince. What are they choosing to emphasize or de-emphasize? And that would also be in terms of the writer, because the writer is making specific rhetorical choices to emphasize certain elements of the personalities of each of those characters. And then how does the writer want them to be perceived? And then the same thing for audience, okay? Who is the author's targeted audience? You could tell by the rhetorical choices in the phrasing and the relationship between the prince and the princess. How does knowledge and understanding of that audience affect how they speak? So if it was a different targeted audience, how might the relationship between the frog and the prince and the princess be depicted? And then how is the rhetoric modified or shaped to fit a particular audience? So the first bullet and the third bullet are kind of essentially the same thing, but the first one is basically to whom, will be affected, and then how is the rhetoric modified to fit those who will be affected. So I just want you to work on these first two squares, and we will talk a little bit more about purpose and exigence tomorrow. Another thing I wanted to share with you, I posted it here, but I posted it in another place, but these are the grading guidelines for how I come to assess your work. These are for majority of, daily grades, but this can also apply to your project grades as well. So I put it here for you to look at, but if you want to go back and review later and you forget which folder it's in, I also put it right here in the important info and reminders tab right down here. So when you open it, these are just some of the descriptors where when I come to sit and read your work, this is what I look at. So if you just complete the assignment to the minimum requirements, as basic as you can get in terms of the directions, I feel like that's a 70 to a 75. It's basic, it's general, it's not really specific, but it fulfills the requirement. Competently fulfilling the assignment, right? So that would be pretty much anything I model for you, I would say is competent. I'm not modeling how to go above and beyond because those are up to you to determine. I'm showing you how to get solid passing scores, which are ideal, okay? So to me, that's competency, that's proficiency, that's mastery. That's an 80 to an 85 because you need to understand that this is a collegial level class. So what would essentially be a B in high school, right? Like an A in college is different. So we need to think about how we're going to apply ourselves as a college level student because technically that's what this class is. And so at the bottom, there is the caveat that, remember that you get 8 additional points instead of the 5 because this is an AP dual class or an AP class. And so you need to think about that as well. So if we were to, mathematically speaking, think about an 85, right, as competency, well then in reality, if you were in a regular course, that would totally be, a lower A to a mid A. So that's about right. So you'll see the other bullet points that say going above and beyond, the assignment expectations by displaying impressive insight or supporting evidence beyond what is required earns around a 90 to a 95. Top responses, and I'm talking top 5%, receive a 100, and it's uncommon, okay? And I want you to think about in terms of the AP exams, right? How many perfect scores are there out there? There's really wonderful scores. There's passing scores. Then there are, above average scores. And that's what you want to think of too when you're looking at your assignments. So I wanted to share that with you so that way you understood when it comes to grading what I'm looking for and how to get maybe some of the scores that you feel you want to earn. Okay, we'll put it that way. All right, so if you have any questions on any of those things, please ask today. You can ask me during Zoom, during your conference, or on email or what have you. So don't forget, I will not be releasing your Persona project scores unless you have met with me. So if you missed your conference yesterday, it is up to you to reschedule. Some of you have missed 2 conferences at this point. After the third, I will be contacting home to see what's going on, because it is an expectation that you're available during your class period, just as I'm available during your class period. So reach out to me if you have any concerns, and I will see you guys tomorrow.